Welcome back. 237 News Radio 700 WLW. I am Ken Brew. Proud to be with you. When billionaires battle, that's what we got going on right now. We got Jeff Bezos from the Washington Post and Amazon.com. And we also have the guy that runs the National Enquirer, David Pecker. This is an incredibly complex story, but it's basically boils down to this. The Enquirer, not the Cincinnati Enquirer, the National Enquirer, has embarrassing photos and texts of Bezos and his girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez. All of this was when Bezos was married. Now, when the Enquirer was about to reveal the existence of the relationship between Bezos and Sanchez last month, Bezos and his wife announced they were divorcing. Then the Enquirer story hit later in the day. So Jeff Bezos put his security chief in charge of investigating into the leaks. He claims they were politically motivated because the guy that owns the National Enquirer, this David Pecker guy, is a close political friend of the president, Donald Trump. So what we have here is about $135 billion on the line in what will be the largest divorce settlement in the history of divorce settlements. And you've got a guy who has made his name on, shall we say, salacious material in tabloid form. And it's fascinating to watch. I'm not sure that it's particularly good business for the guy that could be out $67 billion to his ex-wife, or to the guy that may lose his publishing empire because of it. Billionaires in battle. Is it good for your company? Let's bring in somebody who is an attorney and crisis communication expert, because Lord knows there are a lot of crises in our country in this day and age. She's been with us before. She is Chrysta Castaneda, and she's kind enough to give us some of her time here on 700 WLW. Chrysta, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Happy to do it. Good afternoon.
Now, this is a giant billion-dollar wrestling match. If you were consulting the guy that is going to be out half of his $135 billion empire, is this a smart road for Jeff Bezos to travel down? How would you consult him at this point?
Well, I think at the outset he'd have to ask himself, is he likely to be missing the $67 billion at some point, whether or not these photos got published? You know, it may be that the relationship was separate from the publicity of these photos, and that the marriage was going to end regardless. So I don't know, and I have to say, in every one of these cases, we never know exactly what's going on because we don't get all the details. Yeah. But it could be that he was getting divorced, period, end of story. So then the question just becomes, how do you deal with the National Enquirer?
Well, and, although this is anecdotal, it seems to me that the more money you're worth, the more up you are past this to general, populace in this world like you and me, that the less you probably care about it. If he and his wife are getting divorced, chances are his soon-to-be ex-wife, Mackenzie, probably found out, if not from him, from one of her friends or somebody, that all of this was going on. So the rest of this is just salacious details, right?
Yes, and maybe he'll never miss that $67 billion, because the first billion seems like it ought to be enough.
Yeah. I mean, once you get by that first billion, it's all downhill from there. Now, let's look at it.
Right.
Let's look at it from the standpoint of America Media Inc. and David Pecker. I was told early in my career, never go to battle with someone who buys their ink by the barrel. And if you do, be prepared that they'll get the last say. Now Bezos has investigated Pecker. Pecker's investigating Bezos. I don't know what $67 billion will buy you in this day and age. It would probably buy you 100 National Enquirers. But my guess is they're lawyered up pretty good. So I don't sense that there's a lot of jeopardy here for Pecker. It might just be a cash settlement with somebody that doesn't need the money, right?
Well, I think there's a lot more at risk for the National Enquirer and Pecker than there is for Jeff Bezos.
Oh, and what?
He pulled the first punch, Bezos, when he decided, I'm going straight to the internet and I'm going to say what's going on. I'm going to say that there's this threat of extortion if I don't be quiet about, the political motivation aspect of this. And remember, the National Enquirer and its parent company are under a non-prosecution agreement with the federal government that requires them to be choir boys and to do nothing wrong for a period of 3 years. And extortion is usually something that's considered to be wrong. So that's a much greater risk to the National Enquirer than it is to Jeff Bezos' marriage, which is ending anyway.
Well, but Bezos probably, and what you're talking about was Bezos had a blog post on Thursday night where he basically took on David Pecker and AMI, and therein probably lies the rub, because Bezos would have to know that that 3-year moratorium is in existence, and he probably figures, well, let me fire off a couple of jabs here and get my end of this story out. I would think, like anything in life, Chrysta, it's like timing is everything, right?
Oh, absolutely, and no doubt he had lots of, seasoned advisors, both legal and PR advisors, weighing in on what the move was here. But when you have $1 billion or $67 billion or double that, the world looks a little different in terms of your options and your risks.
Yeah. Chrysta, if you were advising, now let's flip this. If you were advising AMI, let's say you were the voice in the room on, say, Thursday night after this blog came out, your advice it sounds like your advice to AMI and to Pecker would be, you know what, shut up, don't do anything, let him have his say, and we've got the pictures and the texts, and at some point maybe we go, and at some point maybe we don't go. But it sounds like your advice to them would have been shut up, right?
Absolutely, and in fact, I would have backed it up, 5 or 6 days, whenever they said, we don't publish these photos, and a lawyer put this letter out apparently, or this email. AMI says, we don't publish these photos if you stop talking about this being politically motivated. That's where the mistake was.
Blackmail.
That was the boneheaded move.
Yeah. So this is more than just a multi-billion-dollar business with a multi-billion-dollar self-made man. I guess it's more than that. This gets into the root of what legally is right, what legally is wrong, and maybe there's a lesson for all of us here that don't have or haven't made our first $1 billion here, and that is that there are, despite the fact that there's this 3-year moratorium, you got to be a good boy, you got to be a choir boy. I mean, you can't really say or do everything you want to say and do in life, or you might wind up in a court of law. Is that the lesson here for us mere mortals here?
It is. It is. I see this every day in my legal practice. Watch what you say on email. Watch what you say on the internet. It can all come back to bite you in ways that you might not know about at this particular point in time. Be cautious.
Yeah.
Think about what your mother would say.
Yeah. Chrysta Castaneda is our guest. She is a trial lawyer. She specializes in crisis communication issues. Now, here's the big question, Chrysta. Here it is. If you had to make a choice between defending Jeff Bezos or his wife or defending AMI, if they came to you and they said, Chrysta, we need you, but there's only one of those trials that you could actually work on, which one would be the one you'd want to work on?
Oh, man, the wife every day and twice on Sunday. She's the innocent party here. She's just after her half.
That's right. All she wants is a fair settlement, and in this case, it'd be $67 billion. Can you imagine the amount of money you would make if you defended somebody or were the lawyer for somebody that was going to, just because of a decision, get $67 billion? You wouldn't have to work again in your life.
Well, one thing I need to clarify, you can't take a contingency fee on a divorce, at least where I'm located. So I wouldn't be able to take a percentage of the proceeds.
Yeah, but
however,
if you win,
there's a lot of hours that would probably be required to get that $67 billion.
Oh, my goodness. Do you realize how many talk shows you'd be on and speeches people would want you to make? and you could write books. I would think whoever is involved with this legally in some way, shape, or form, it may not be $1 billion they make, but they're going to make enough money they have to do another thing in their life.
You're absolutely right. You see it with the Gloria Allred. Her high-profile clients get her a lot of attention, which gets her a lot of more high-profile clients and a lot more attention.
I think I might have planted a seed with you. I don't know. I think I might have planted it.
Well, you know what? Maybe I just need to call up Mrs. Bezos to see if she's already lawyered up.
She's got to be in the phone book, right? She's got to be. She's got to be listed. Chrysta Castaneda, just a delight. Thanks for helping us make some headway here, because it just seemed to be, all tied up in just legalese and who could do what. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
Okay.
Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, right. You can't take contingency on divorce, but the books, the speeches. Well, yes, I was the chief. I was the chief lawyer on. What's her name? Mackenzie Bezos' law team. Well, that's fantastic. You may well, yes, I was paid for my work. Well, could you come speak? Well, my speech is now. It's going to cost you $100,000. But you could buy my book, which, by the way, is the #1 bestseller in the New York Times. You're set for life. I don't know. Law is a tough thing. I don't have a very good legal mind. I have kids that have very good legal minds, but I don't have a very good legal mind. But I'm just thinking, if you're a lawyer and you're involved in either Jeff Bezos, I mean, he's dead in the water. But Mackenzie Bezos, AMI, David Pecker, Bezos against Pecker in the National Enquirer. If you're involved in any of that and you win, oh my goodness. Billionaires fighting over billions of dollars. It's fun to watch. Like politics, not a bad blood sport to be on the sidelines gazing at. It is coming up on 2:50. It's Ken Brew on this Saturday afternoon. Glad you're with us on 700 WLW.